Hello, everyone, and welcome to RHAP's coverage of Australian Survivor Brains V Brawn. I'm your host, Shannon Guss, here for a feedback show on week 2. I thought a really fun week. I think we're building to a crescendo. If it keeps going in this direction, it's going to be an all-time season. And some very important things happened this week. So we have to bring in an expert on these things. Firstly, they went to the Survivor salon. My guest is known to be combing his hair during the podcast. So it was the perfect time. And secondly, a teacher did something baffling. So we have to bring him on, a teacher, to advocate for all teachers, to defend
I'm not advocating.
teachers, to defend if some people should be educating students on simple math. It is an Australian Survivor All-Star, my great friend, Nick Iadanza. Nick, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. I'm a graduate, so I'm hopefully an honorary member of the graduates. I've also been to a Survivor salon, so there's
When was that?
lots of parallels. Boy, back in season 1, yeah. Anyway, I'm so excited to be here because wow, this season, the last 2 episodes 5 and 6,
Yeah.
might be. I kind of think of them as this kind of little double header. It's almost like one extended movie. That
Yes.
might be my favorite back-to-back set of episodes of Australian Survivor of all time. Like that was an all-time for me. Like I am right there in the pocket with this two episode arc of the Brains tribe. Loved it.
Yeah, I agree. And I can tell from the social media, which we have compiled for us every week by Nick Callahan. Thank you, Nick, the other Nick, and also you. But we have that compiled, and people were upset about the twist that the marketing subtly said was coming in earlier that day. But I never saw it like that. I mean, definitely as like a two-parter, it's fascinating. And I'd love to look back at those 2 episodes as like one de-evolution of the Coven to like where we kind of got. It was so interesting to analyze it in between, in the moment where we're like trying to work out these really complex decisions from groups that were like just falling apart at the seams. So it's really, really interesting to look back at that. But I thought as well there were so many interesting layers that clearly were maintained through because there was an non-elimination, and then we had the catharsis of it building to this vote. So I'm not down on that at all. I think it just creates this 2-part kind of movie, as you said.
And this is why I really like your coverage this season, the way you're doing like episodic, because like after Rich gets sent out, it's almost like I was watching a movie with friends and we got to pause it while we make popcorn, chat about it, hear everyone's takes on where they think it's going, and then we got to sit down and press play and watch the second half and then get to come and chat about it again. So I love the coverage this season. It's the perfect companion structure for an epic season with like a truly, like I've said it on social media, like a literal insane people. Who knows? I don't know where they found these people, but they are insane in the best way, not derogatory, like just insane because they make awesome television.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting episode to analyze in the moment, looking back at it, because we got to some of it. We got to Nick's just adjusting on this video podcast. We got to the fact that we felt like coming back. This like what we didn't know the name for the graduates, but the 5 graduates were like they would kind of have the numbers, and we were correct in that. But still, in analyzing it, you had to revert to these structures. They were seemingly reverting to these structures. Like when the women send out Rich, they maintain the numbers, but the guys are doing that. But those alliances aren't going to exist in 12 hours. Like now I feel like I have to look at everything completely differently, at the decisions people were making, knowing that they were in completely different groups. Like that's not the Coven. That's kind of, as always, Laura and Logan and what I think the streets are calling Zarin, making different decisions.
Yes, I was going to say it.
Yeah, so
Real Housewives fans will know Jill Zarin. So just throw that out there. I'm always going to get one Real Housewives reference. Yeah.
And it's not. I'm sure it'll be way more. I'm sure you'll sneak
Zarin
in.
fabrics. Anyway, don't.
Nick, who do you blame for the Coven? What do you think about the Coven breaking apart? Because I really feel like that's like the epicenter of everything that happens with the Brains tribe this week. And I also should add the caveat: there's a Brawn tribe. There's actually a Brawn tribe as well. It's happening like off camera, but it is happening. But back to what do you think happened with the Coven? What were your thoughts on that?
Okay, I blame Alli.
Oh.
Yeah. So from the way it's being presented to us, it seems like we have 2 pairs, Zarin and the female VB members. It seems as if Alli is the one who is untethered from one specific pair. I don't really see them as a 3. It could have been like that out in the island, but I feel like in a 5-person alliance, you want to be the one that's the connective tissue between two pairs, because it's going to be rare that both pairs get on the same side to vote out that one person. They're always going to see it as like a 3 and 2. Now, this had extenuating circumstances because it was like that alliance imploding against another alliance. But if an alliance of 5 can hold together, the best spot to be is that person in between the two pairs. So I blame her for not working hard enough to recognize the unique position that she was in, and that if anyone should have been trying to bridge the gap, it should have been her. Now, could she have been doing that? Potentially she was. We don't know. I give her the benefit of the doubt. But it was painted as Laura being too headstrong, being inflexible and kind of not letting the others kind of have agency. And then it became this battle of, no, but you've had agency. No, I want the agency. You have been inflexible. No, I've been too flexible. No, I've been too flexible. And it was just never a good setup, which is why I think there needed to be this external voice that helped kind of broker peace between them. And this kind of makes me feel about like one of the things I wanted to bring up about like 5-person alliances. Can you think of like a 5-person alliance in Survivor history that is made up of 5 headstrong, smart people?
I guess the Black Widow Brigade were 5 people.
No, but that is not Alexis. No, that was clearly a hierarchy with Parvati in the middle, and Sari and as her kind of like two closest people.
Yes, Sari, then Pav, and Amanda.
No, but Sari and Amanda were never really like that. It was like Sari was connected. Well, my perception of it was that Sari was connected to Parvati and Parvati was connected to Amanda. And then the other two just kind of followed along. So that's an alliance there of 5 where there are 3 people who seem to be calling the shots, whether it's Parvati or not. But I feel like those 3 were making the decisions. Okay. Can we think of an actual alliance where there are 5 headstrong, strong, opinionated people? I genuinely cannot think of one. There is always 1 or 2 people who are like the followers along. And I think what doomed the Coven, yes, I blame Alli, but I think what doomed it more is that there were just too many big voices. Do you agree?
You could probably take out the word 5. Like, can you think of an alliance where any number of people in it, where they are all headstrong, like really, really headstrong? I think that
people are going because you can think of like 3 people alliances. They're all headstrong, for sure. Like I think of like, Steven, JT, Taj.
That's 3. Pair. Yeah, I guess so.
That's 3 headstrong people. And like, you might even be able to find 4, but 5, I feel is stretching it. And
that is true.
Just to bring it back to my personal experience, I had the Little Rascals with Shonny and Harry. We were 3 headstrong, strategic people. And we were supposed to bring in Michelle and Henry. And I just thought 5 is too many. We can't have 5 headstrong people. And that's why we kind of were looking for people. We cut them so we would try and bring in people who were not as headstrong. So I don't know. I just feel like the structure was never going to make I feel like it was doomed to fail because of that. You need some goats. You need some yes people. And I would love if in the comments or if anyone can think of a 5 to let me know, because I've been racking my brain and I actually personally can't think of one. I was thinking maybe of like South Pacific with like the Sophie, but then I was like, that had like Rick, that had Rick in it, so I don't know. I'll be interested to hear what people think.
Yeah, I think you can have also headstrong people who see their path in the game in a similar way. Like I think what the Coven also really struggled with was that they were so misaligned in how they view things. Like currently the graduates are 5 people. Like Karen and Zara are headstrong. They come from the Coven where we're talking about that. AJ probably is as well. Miles maybe less so. And Kaylin maybe less than that. So maybe that'll be the structure. But it's still a lot of personalities. But right now, they agree on where they want to see the game. And it was kind of like,
for sure.
But I'm just saying, it's like if you see your friends in a relationship and it's a really bad relationship, and then they break up and then they get into better relationship where they were meant to be, and you're like, oh, that was such a bad relationship before, and now I can see it,
Yeah, no, for sure. And I hope the graduates can stay together as 5 that work. But I guess I'm talking about like long-term alliances that see out the game.
Yeah, well,
so
hopefully.
Oh yeah, for sure, for
Strong
sure. I would love
start. I mean, it's been
for
2
sure, and
days, but
I'm sure there have been others throughout history. I just can't think of any. So let's
yeah.
root for the graduates to do what the Coven couldn't do.
Well, the Coven was a disaster, just like an abject disaster. And
Sorry,
look,
one other caveat. Maybe the caveat is that it's like 5 people from the beginning. That kind of first arbitrary group that comes together out of a sense of safety. Can that
yes,
5 make it through to the end, as opposed to like weeks of feeling people out and then going, oh no, that's the actual group of people that I need to
because
be
we're
with.
going to
So
see the game the same way.
yes, exactly. You've started to kind of iron out the kinks of like, oh, this person doesn't sleep, or this person is bossy with the rice, or this person is, all those things that kind of like do actually like will gradually wear away at you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
The
sorry. As you
Coven
were
is
saying.
like your first boyfriend.
Mm.
It's like it seems right at the time, but you don't know what's going on. And it's like it takes
Yeah.
time to learn, right? I don't know why I keep going to remember. Whatever. The Coven, the Coven divorce, the Coven 5-way divorce was a lot. I mean, can Alli be the mediator of these actually difficult, personalities and differences? When Alli, we have
No.
seen Alli
Yeah.
try to mediate. We've seen her empathy, right? It might be a bit too tricky for her to be the mediator of the crew. I don't
For
know if I
sure.
mean,
For sure.
yeah. I blame Laura, as anyone who's listened to the recaps will hear, because I so badly disagree with the way that she's handled Rich. I think some of the feedback of this week was in like kind of in relation to that was I had conversations with people about like, sure, Laura's being impossible, but like if you're a 5-5 and Laura can go be a swing and like the numbers are this tenuous, why aren't Zarin doing more to cater to her? Like, why aren't they giving her at least like a compromise of Max, which I feel like Logan probably wouldn't. I feel like they all kind of had a proxy, and I feel like Max was Logan's, and I don't even know that Laura does that. But why? Like,
But
why can't they?
Zarin did. They were placating. That for the last
Well, they
2
weren't because
votes.
they. But I mean, look, you're preaching to the choir. I agree. I think what Zarin did instead. I mean, for them to give up an AJ, who not only do they feel much better about, but will end up working with really, really well, shows what a like great number he is for them. And I think what Zarin did instead was, well, what Zara did at that time was that she went to AJ and started the graduates then. And if we look at those 2 episodes now, like there's this one kind of big movie. Now we can see that that was started then, because at the second she went to AJ and Miles, even though it seems like AJ and Miles were up in the air, they were up in the air between Alli and Rich, and neither one of them are in the graduate. So at the end of the day, one of them was going to go, and clearly, whatever way AJ went, even if he went for Alli, it's something clearly that Zara were going to understand, given she was their target the next day, given that they didn't seem offended that AJ had caught out this Bomb Squad Alliance, the Tribal Council. There was no fallout. And whichever way it was going to go, they were going to come back to the numbers. And whatever happened, they had numbers who weren't going to vote for them. So they were defensively safe, where AJ and Miles aren't going to vote for them. And they have numbers to come back to, as we've learned. So while it seems like AJ and Miles were like up in the air about it, not on numbers that mattered that day, like on Alli or Rich. And they came back to what would become the graduates. And I think it was all being set up then. And now that we see it as like one kind of long storyline, we see how much that was like put in then. And that was a response to what Laura was doing. So they did have a response to the fact that they might lose a pivotal swing vote in Laura. It was getting new numbers and making a new thing. And they were already doing that as their response.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I'm just so surprised that this group that seems a bit more, they all seem to be saying the same thing. We want to work with strategic people. I'm surprised that didn't supersede just these arbitrary gender lines in the first vote. It's not like they went to tribal council the first day when it's just kind of like, grab a life vest. Who's here? It's been 2 days. Whoever we need, bang. Like there was a couple of days to build something, and there was an obvious vote out with Kent and Indy. Like I'm surprised that these people didn't actually, but when you shake the bottle, those people didn't kind of sift to the same spot straight away.
Well,
it seems so natural.
It's a really bad endorsement for Laura's witch powers, because she was like, she read the auras of the women, and like it was a bad read.
Okay, can I say, right, so I believe in all, I love Laura. I think she's a great character, casting gold. I think I've said that online. She says that Kent has this kind of colorful aura. I want to know, what is she seeing above Rich?
That's what I said.
Oh, you did? What color dots?
Isn't it like green? Like sluggy green?
Like, I gotta say, I find Rich funny. Like I find him like I find myself chuckling at the buffoonery, and I think that like I can't help but feel like I want him to last longer because he literally will just say anything, and he always seems like slightly drunk. I don't know. There's something about him that is just I find endearing.
He does seem
Apart
always
from
slightly drunk. He's like a Barney
yeah,
Gumble type character. It's like, are they sneaking you
yes,
something on the island, or
yes.
like what do you like actually drunk? Do you think when he gets drunk,
Again,
he seems really sober? He's like the opposite
again,
direction.
that's none of this is derogatory. Like I'm telling you, no comment I make today is derogatory to these people. I love all of them. Like
Even
I
the Max
loved
stuff.
Ali. I loved Ali. Like I just like, where did they find her? Like I love her so much. Like someone said in one of the comments that it was like after seeing Ali, I'm no longer like that afraid of like AI's capabilities to like destroy humanity. And it's just I just love her. I thought she was so good. That apology, I think it was an apology when like AJ's like in the tree licking his wounds, like away from camp. Like she comes up to him, it's just like bah, 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 but just like a full-on drive-by shooting.
Yeah.
That was supposed
Yeah.
to be an expression of her empathy.
It was great.
And
It
like
was, yeah, it was amazing.
we all, every survivor player, every person who's ever been on reality TV, even the ones who say like, oh, the edit, I would never blame the edit. You still do go like, oh, I wish that was represented like slightly differently, but I see why it's there. I would love to know if Ali watched that conversation in the tree and the conversation on the beach with AJ when she was telling him. I think Mike Bloom tweeted that it was like, ChatGPT, write me the worst thing you could say to someone. On the bottom, I lost it. Anyway, I wonder if she saw those two comments and took away anything from them. Do you think?
I don't know. I can't get into the minds. I mean, a lot of the questions we
I
got this
love
week was
her.
asking me
I
to get into
love
the
her
minds of
so
people that I
much.
can't. I think that is where social media took it, was like, oh, this is iconic and I love her. I think I can see that now that she's gone. Like, great arc. Like, you seemed normal.
What a
You
great arc.
weren't. And now you're gone. And I think that was a great kind of perfect way to end like those couple of episodes for her.
Would you be down for an Ali return?
No, what did I just say? I said I'm happy. I can enjoy
No,
it because it's over.
but
Don't smile
but
at it. Smile
think
because
about
it
it.
happened, Nick.
But think about it. Like I could see her coming back, going at third in an All-Star season, out the door after 9 days, but in those 9 days, burning so brightly. And would I ever want to play with her? No, personally, no. But do I
Well,
want to
you don't
see her?
want the drive-by?
Yeah, no, I don't need the drive-by. And when AJ was standing there just like taking it, I was like, this is how I know I am not that good of a survivor player. Because the first thing I would have said was, Ali, how about you go? Something.
Yeah. But at least
Because
you
I
weren't
would not have
saying that
sat
to
there with her
people.
being like, no, I would have kept it together. But then by the end, when she was like, cool, how dare you say cool?
See, I couldn't. I could. Yeah, she really went at him for saying cool, which was so funny.
And then he
My
said cool
face
again.
couldn't. My face would betray me because I'd be like, like I just couldn't hide that. But
Like
also,
Karen's
yeah.
face when when Ali told her that she had gone and like said everything to the other tribe about their alliance.
Yeah, I
That
couldn't
was the
hide that.
best.
Also,
No, I feel
thinking
like I
about
would hide it to a point, and then I would just be like, "You got me," and just like scream. Yeah.
thinking about the Laura part of it and what color she sees Rich.
So I have
Now
one more
thinking,
Ali question. I
yeah.
can't get over it. One more Ali question. Do you think that when the season is over, that we will remember Ali as big a character as she is, or will she have faded into the kind of collective consciousness of like just another survivor player? Like, will she kind of like, I think of like a Zach, like after that season, his first season, even though he had gone pre-merge, people were still like, well, what about that Zach? Hey, do you reckon that he will?
See my face? Yeah. See how my face betrays me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wonder
yeah.
if she will, if it's just because we're in it and it was 2 great episodes, or if she will actually
Well, you could
stand the
say the
test
same
of
for
time.
like Indy, Kent, and Nash, right?
Yes, yeah. I was going to say the same thing. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people left the purple. So if we keep going down the trajectory, like also look at the confessional charts. I mean, Nash still stands out. So like maybe yes. Because
Yeah,
it's been
okay,
a big
cool.
couple of weeks. And the finale is only in like 6 weeks. So I think I'll remember. Will the casuals?
Sure.
I think that's a different story. But anyway, so Laura. Now
Sorry,
I'm
go,
thinking
Laura,
about it.
yes.
And I'm thinking like Laura came in and was like, I can read people's auras. and she aligned with like Rich, and she made this like women's alliance. And like now looking back at that, isn't that like high comedy? Like now looking back on it?
Look, I'm not going to question her abilities because I don't need that in my life. But I think that within that, she's found some good connections. She's found Logan,
Yes.
and she seemed fine with Alli. She wasn't a great choice of partner.
Aura reading Alli is the win of that. Alli, you blew up.
How dare you talk poorly about Alli? I love her.
I love her too. I love that we had 2 episodes and two of
episodes.
Am I too mean on this season? I said it was some of the worst.
Maybe I got to say, maybe you're usually a little bit more diplomatic. I'm like loving this new Shannon.
This is me being diplomatic.
Yeah,
my thoughts are even more extreme. Then my face betrays me, Nick. My face is. I'm not. I love the cast. They are cracked. Like it's impossible to respond to it in a muted way. Let's
Can you just imagine being the casting director with all the little Polaroids on a table? They finally decide on their final 24 and they step back and they look at each other and go, we are about to blow this game to smithereens. They've thrown in every rogue element they could find.
And Ben.
And it's
and Kristen.
I think Kristen looks extremely lovely.
Yeah, I know. The Brawn tribe seem incredibly boring and normal. Like that's the thing. Is that they didn't cast a whole tribe.
Give them time. Give them time. They've been able to hide. Well, no, but they've been able to hide behind the Nash enigma, and they, when a little bit of pressure was applied, Morgan and Kate did a silly thing. So who knows? There's potential for silliness.
That is true. That was cracked too. Take back everything that I said. Okay. I want to talk about this tribal council with the advantage. The first thing, a lot of feedback that we got. Who thought they were going into a 5-5? It's very Titans v Rebel coded, where every episode they would go into these equal groups. And I thought back and I thought that's interesting. I think so. Laura, Rich, probably Maxfield. They have the numbers with Laura, I think. Then Zara. Laura, Rich, and then probably Max with them. Think that Laura's coming over. So they think that that's the win. Zara with Miles and probably Karen think that they have it. They think they've brought over to vote for Rich, AJ, and Miles. Alli and Logan, I don't know where they think the guys are breaking to for their 5 to win. I don't know what Kaylin was thinking, and I don't know where AJ thinks he's pulling Miles over to go with the guys. So where does he think that other number is? And I actually think that I thought it was the opposite. I thought well, Laura's piling on. That gives AJ leverage. Actually, Miles had the leverage in what they thought. Because they think that Miles can flip alone to make a 6. I don't know what AJ thinks he's bringing back. Was this crack cast just going to the 5-5? Was at least several of them thinking that they were just going to do that? And also, I think that also a part of this might be, although less on the Brains tribe, but I know it was a big thing in Titans v Rebels. A lot of issues were caused by the fact that the players don't know about rocks. Okay, they don't know what happens at a tie, and they haven't thought to ask to find out. And we keep going to almost tie situations.
Well, I've heard that most of the Brains tribes are Survivor fans.
Yeah, they're never fans, though. That is crazy, yes.
So I give them the benefit of the doubt that they know what rocks are. I did not give that to a lot of the cast of Titans v Rebels.
Ferris will tell you he didn't know what was going to happen at that tribal council. He didn't know. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, so what do you think of this?
So you've just said that, did you imply that AJ thought that everyone was voting with the boys?
Well, AJ thinks that the boys are voting for Alli, and he's trying to pull Miles over to vote with the boys. But who does he think the vote is?
Did I miss that?
Yeah, he's trying to put that's their whole thing. He's like, I want to vote for Alli, obviously, because of the thing that we just talked about.
Yeah.
Because of the drive-by. And Miles wants to vote for Rich. But Miles thinks he'll be the 6 for that. So that makes sense. But AJ thinks he's pulling them back to a 5.
Oh, sorry. We're still in the previous episode.
Yeah, for the 5.
Sorry. Yep, sorry, of course. Yep. I'm not sure. I to be honest, I think I gathered from your podcast that you thought that Laura was going to go into bat for Rich at that tribal council.
Yeah, I thought she was voting out Alli.
I disagree. Wait. Yeah, no, I disagree. I thought that she was 100%.
You think she was voting out Rich?
I do, because did you see did you see the wave of relief on her face when they said tonight things are a little different? She went, oh,
Yeah,
like
because
that,
she didn't
and
have to
grabbed.
blow up her entire game.
But that's not blowing up her entire game. Oh,
If
sorry, as in
she was
like
going to
she
vote for
was voting.
Alli against the whole Coven, I'd be relieved not having to do that too, because it would have been crazy.
I was.
He was
Oh
not
yeah,
voting out Rich. There is no way.
I'd love for if Laura does. Laura listen to this?
Don't tell me, Laura. I like to stay pure until the end of the season.
Okay.
Although we do
Well,
have some stuff from Max coming up. Tell Nick, whatever.
tell me. Don't give me spoilers, but like I would like to
I hope
know
she
if
doesn't listen. I just said that I just made fun of her witch powers.
I know. Well, if she was listening, like you're going to clearly get cursed. Like I will stay safe because I like her, and please don't curse.
I like
She
her
doesn't curse.
too.
She doesn't.
I
Curse
just think that
people.
her aura reading is maybe a little bit off on the island.
Oh, I wonder what colors she'd see above your head right now.
What do you
Hater
think?
colors.
What do you think? Do you think that like Rich's colors? Do you think you can see colors through a podcast?
You're a sparkly person.
Thank you. Okay, I think she must have been voting out Alli because I just don't think she would have parted with Rich. She then like she's gonna vote out Rich with the girls, and then the girls are gonna disintegrate in like 10 hours.
I felt like there was enough pressure being placed on her from everyone else that she didn't like it and was going to go ahead with it, and then she was going to use that as like the fire to stoke breaking up with them the next night. That's what I thought. Probably wrong. Would love to know what
I don't
everyone
know.
else thought.
We can't know.
Yeah.
We can't know.
No, we
For
can't.
me,
No.
it's like once you've
But that's what I
told
thought was
Rich-
happening. I thought that Rich was going no matter what.
Wow, because once you've told Rich that he's the target, to me you've flipped. You know, you've given him the information. You want him to stay. She definitely wants him to stay over Alli, who she also does care about the next night, to be fair.
True. I don't know. I'm more. My head's more in the second tribal council than that first one, to be honest.
Well, I have a lot more on this tribal council because I found it.
Keep going.
Now I'm rethinking it with the new information that we have. So the first part is okay. Well, what did you think about sending Rich over for this? Because what I love about this is that it's such a complicated decision. Obviously, like you don't want to offend the person who's still going to be in the game, but you also like don't want to lose a number. So it's someone you don't consider a number, but it's someone you also would be okay having power. But it's not a number for you, but you can't offend them. So, but it's such a complex decision anyway, let alone the fact that it's being made by groups that are like falling apart at the seams. So I look back at that now with like even more complexity. So what did you think about this as a decision?
I thought it was a great decision for all of them, except AJ. AJ wanting to go himself was the right decision for him. But I feel like that Rich actually was a way for, I think the men, like we talk about them as the men, but like AJ would have wanted to go himself, so he didn't care that Rich went. Miles is not that attached to Rich, and Kaylin, we can tell, is like now is not that close to him anyway. So it really, like the only person who would be upset by losing him was Max. And all the girls, it really is good for them because it keeps them in the majority.
So but it wasn't the girls because the Coven isn't going to exist come morning.
But in that moment, if they had lost a girl, even though that they have the luxury of breaking up the next day because they are not in like such an obvious numerical disadvantage. Whereas like if they had lost one of the girls, like when Alli was like, I'll go, if they had lost one of the girls, it would have been way worse because then the bomb squad themselves, with Rich as this rallying voice for her, potentially does actually stay together. And I now in hindsight maybe see them potentially coalescing around that a little bit more because Alli's still there and AJ hates Alli. So AJ would be willing to go with Rich and Max. And we'd see that Max hates Alli anyway because he wants to vote her out the next episode. And Miles would be, cool, I'll go with that as well. Like I actually think that if they had lost a girl, whoever it was, say it was Alli or wasn't Alli, that I think that then Karen or Zara could have potentially been in trouble as well. So I actually think that for all of them, sending Rich was the best idea, except for AJ.
It's hard because if any girl goes, it probably is Alli. But if Alli is somehow there, I guess it depends what other number they lose because it's so fragile and what the groups are going to become. But it is possible with how much like Rich wanted to go for Alli. Like if they lose like a Laura, who is the only one protecting Alli, it might just be a unanimous vote on Alli at that point.
Yeah.
Because it's like, AJ and Miles might do that with Rich, but it's like Karen and Zara also giving them that as the graduates. So it's a very, very easy vote. But I do still think that the graduates are the numbers going forward. And the way that I look at it is not like so much what the women were thinking as a monolith, because they clearly aren't. But I think that it's about what it is for the two pairs of women. I mean, Alli's maybe thinking about it as a Coven, so she's thinking about it as a woman. But I think Laura and Logan are thinking about it of they'll get power from Rich, but they still clearly think that they have the numbers even the next day.
Yeah.
So they think they have that with the Coven. And with Zara and Karen, it's less about thinking about the Coven numbers and more about thinking about what's going to become the graduate numbers, which they are going to have. Now, they do give power to Rich, which could have, we'll talk about it, which could have doomed them. And that might be the thing. But the thing as well is pushing against Laura is so difficult at camp, let alone at tribal council, let alone trying to maintain this cohesion of the Coven, that I don't think they can do that in the moment. If they could, the perfect person for like a Zarin, I think, is Alli, because you don't actually need her as a woman, because you're going to have the graduates. You're going to have your 5 number. She's not someone who will doom you from a power perspective. She might actually help you from a power perspective. That would have been perfect. But going up against Laura in that moment might show like, wait, why are we letting the women go? It's like, oh, because we're not actually in alliance. We're not going to be in alliance in 6 hours from now. So
no, I kind of disagree. I don't think that Zarin should have let Alli go. I don't. I really don't. I think that no matter what, for everyone, it was the best thing. And no matter what, the more I kind of run it through and listen to you, I think that no matter what, Alli was never getting out of the next tribal council.
It's true. It's true. What's it like? It's like a Final Destination thing.
Yes,
where it's like,
yes.
It's like so many, like Max was wanting to get her out separately, let alone the fact that the graduates were coming for her, let alone that the bomb squad would have been coming for her, let alone that
the Coven probably, like, if push came to shove, like they would have, for sure. It's like the truck with the logs missed her, so the pane of glass squashed her.
Literally.
Ironically, but that should make her feel better, because so many survivors like stay up at night going like, if this one thing had changed, then I could have won. It's like, if this one thing had changed, you're gonna go no matter what for next time.
Alli, you should feel better based on the fact that everyone wanted you out and it could not escape you. Like, this group that cannot agree on anything, all in their own individual ways. They weren't even agreeing, but still, separately, they were going to come for you. People who hate each other, people who can't stand each other, like Zara and Rich, who've been coming for each other, separately are coming for you. The only thing that could have protected her would have been maybe
Max
like if she's still there with the. Well, we'll talk about it, but it would. But like, if like there's a Rich, like a shield that people want out more. But otherwise, she's like, again, such an easy vote for them that she wasn't going to get Final Destination. And again, I keep quoting these horror movies, and I haven't seen any of the horror movies, and I just assume that is what it is. But it's really hard to see how she gets out of it. It's funny because had she known that she was a target who I personally think was going home that night, it's at best dicey, right? She's a target. Had she known how on the out she was, she should have like insisted to go. Like, the best thing that could have kept her safe was just being on Braun. Like, just being away from that situation, because we know like how close she was to death, but she didn't know that, and that was one of the many issues that made her like a huge target all around.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. And what I want to talk about, which we didn't talk about a lot on the recaps, was the advantage itself.
Great advantage.
Tell me what your thoughts were on it.
Well, I loved it because I thought that it was like that. I love these shot clock advantages that we're just going to get in these kind of little, like, the 2 episodes it's done, or like it's introduced at the beginning of the week. And this is why I love the way that Australian Survivor is 3 episodes a week. It's never too much for me. It's like 3 episodes, and that we usually get these maybe we get an advantage at the beginning and it's going to go off by the end. I think of like Ray's, like what was it? What Ray had? He got it on the Sunday in the popcorn or whatever, and then it was Was it popcorn? And then by the end, we knew that we would see the culmination of that advantage. So I love that. First of all, I love that it was like a twist on the safety without power where you take 2 out. Refresh me if we've seen that before. I feel like we have.
I feel like we definitely, like, we saw like George and Kara go to a tribal council. We've seen people be added. We've seen 6 people be taken out by George. George is involved in a lot of these, and they were all in different episodes of the first Brains versus Brawn. We've seen people be taken out in different numbers. But I mean
like a safety without power, but for multiple. Because I feel like this was a really cool twist on the advantage. And what I liked about it is, like, I like that Rich was so brazen about how he gave it, and Max was so flippant about the way he spoke about it, that we got to see everyone planning for it. It was almost like, do you know how we often say that, like, we want we want to watch players try and make decisions. Like, we don't like players getting blindsided by things because then we don't get to see all the great strategy that could have evolved from it. The players themselves being so out there with the way they delivered that information meant we got to see a group of smart and crazy people mitigate and plan and discuss. And that's why I like the show. Yeah, but we like the show because we get to kind of sit and kind of like quarterback it from the armchair and say, oh, what about this? But they were doing it for us, which was really, really cool. So like maybe that's like a cool way to do twists in the future that kind of like depowers them, but also elevates the interest, where it's like twists that like we get to see and we know and plan for and work around.
Well, what I liked about it in that is like in terms of working around it was that the whole tribe knew that whoever they were sending was getting a scroll. And it was a big advantage. But at that point, all bets were off. And you know to look to Rich, right? Like if you lose the immunity challenge, he might be passing something over. And you know it could be something massive. And you've all made the decision to give him power. So there's agency, or you've lost a vote to give him power. So there's agency in that even though it's a big advantage, you've made that choice. So it feels earned. I like that it was like a double safety without power, or as we say grammatically, and I'm not doing it again with you, but safeties without power. And this has been the big debate. I refuse to say safety without powers. It just doesn't feel right. I'm not doing it.
So you agree with me?
It's safeties without power. That's not what you said last time. You said shot in the darks. I said shots in the dark. I'm saying safeties without power. Yeah. How it was such an intense debate, and we don't even remember what you said.
I thought I said shots in the dark.
Well, exactly, because it feels better. So safety without power.
No. I said shot in the dark. Yeah, I remember. It was a noun group. Yeah, okay, sorry. Yeah.
It was very important to you at the time.
It's not safeties without power.
You couldn't even know what you said.
It's safety without powers.
No. It's two safeties. Two people are safe without power. Anyway, what I like about the two safeties without power is that...
Actually, I don't know where I stand on that one. I just...
You capitulated so quickly. You would do well.
I don't know. I got to think of it.
The Coven could use someone like you. It's like, do I want Rich? I don't even know anymore. Do I? Good. This is what works well for my podcast dynamic too. It's like,
and then ask me about it tomorrow, and I won't even remember what I wanted.
Okay, well, that's honestly a little concerning, Nick. Like it was a big debate. You were talking about it with people on Blue Sky for weeks.
I was.
And now you don't know?
Hey, I've had a very crazy month.
Josh Kettles is going to be very betrayed.
No, Josh, I'm sorry. I was your number one fan. Okay, anyway, safety without powers, go.
No, safeties without power. What I like about this two safeties without power is that it can be used both offensively and defensively. Like safety without power can be done like that as well, but like it's just one person. So it's kind of more defensive thing. Like you could send yourself out. The margins need to be like really, really slim for it to be offensive. This actually is near, and I'll say the word near, impossible to play wrong, Max. I'm sorry, but it is. In a 9-person tribe, if you have any but 3 numbers, you win. 1 person, leave. 2 people, you both leave. 4 people, great. You send out 2 people from the other side, Max. This is very important. 2 people from the other side. Now you have a 4-on-3, and if you have the majority anyway, you're going to win. It's a guaranteed win for anything but a 3-person group who would have to leave 1 person behind. And even then, that's like 1 person who you can't split on, who's like the only target, and a majority might get antsy about. It's a very, very powerful majority. I mean, this could be a very, very powerful advantage for a minority or a majority. It would take an extreme amount of human error to lose the vote with this. It's very powerful. But again, they gave it to Rich, so they can wear that. So what do we get to? Let's talk about this. Max.
What you just said there with the numbers, that's actually crazy when you think of the probability.
Yes.
Wow.
And they had 4 people. So it's easy because if you're 4v5, it's 4v3. Anyway, I've spent too long just wondering. But I want to know more, Nick, because Max put out a statement about what he was trying to do. A lot of people have asked. Main question we got.
Actually?
Yes. What was Max thinking?
Where?
I said, there's some things I can't answer. Let's talk about it. Do you want me to just read out what he said? Or should I just explain it? I saw someone tweet it. It's on his Instagram.
Okay. No, I think you should read it out word for word.
Oh my gosh. Okay, what's his Instagram? I have a summary.
Wait,
Okay, here it is. I found it. It was a story.
Is it that one?
Story. Here it is. Found it. Yes,
This? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
If you want a bit of background, we had no idea about the graduates and we weren't going in voting Zara. I knew that AJ, Miles, and Kaylin were voting Alli. So in his mind, those are three guys. They are voting Alli. This is me editorializing.
Yeah.
As I guess the bomb squad, but also we know they're doing it as the graduates. And Zara, I thought Logan and Alli would vote Miles. That would give me the choice of who goes home. I only decided on Miles on the walk up to the urn. Zara being a graduate duped me badly, kudos. I have so many thoughts. I have different thoughts about this new thing. I've got so many thoughts on it.
Please go through it because I can't follow that. Like, I can't follow that because what? That's not true. Because that's not true. Because he was saying vote Miles to people, so he didn't decide on the way up to the urn.
Things can be questioned. What can be questioned?
That's apocryphal. That's
fan
like
fiction?
yeah.
Okay, I'll talk about what I think might feel true and what parts feel less true, and then I'm going to talk about the plan, assuming it's true, because even this is just a nightmare to behold.
Okay, I'm going to hold this up and keep reading as you speak, so don't mind me.
What are you confused? Okay, I'll break it down.
Yeah.
He thinks basically that he's made it into a guy-girl thing and that the guys are going to vote for Alli and the girls are going to vote for Miles, and he wants to be the swing vote for reasons we will get to. And he chose Miles, but he didn't realize that Zara wasn't with the girl. She was with the graduates, and thus he lost.
So his whole thing was based on the gender thing. He was still on the gender thing.
Yeah, okay. So let's talk about it. So we see the students, a name I've coined for the non-graduates, we see them as a 4. I thought, do they assume Alli will be a 5th? But Alli was a target. Why? How could they assume that? We did see when he wanted Alli to target, he's like, I'll get Miles and AJ on board. I think this 4, or even just this 3, with Max, Laura, and Logan, if this is true, do feel like they have a group, but they don't know that there are graduates against them. They don't know that there's a big opposing alliance with like an active swing in someone like a Kaylin. So they do see themselves maybe in the middle with pull in both alliances where they can just kind of break it either way with their numbers, right? So like, say all the girls are voting Miles, they can go that way. Say all the other boys, are voting Alli, they can go that way. If it's someone like a Zara, at that point they do bring in Alli, and that's a 5. But it does make sense for why this 4. Again, maybe the math is a little lacking, so maybe there's doesn't need to make sense made of it. But it does make sense of why this 4 are like, yes, we're the group now, because 4 of 9 is not a majority. So I think it makes sense that they're we'll kind of control it. Well, at that point, they think Logan, Laura, Max, and Kaylin. That's the 4 that they stay.
Yeah.
And then eventually they bring in Alli for a Zara vote that seems to have fallen by the wayside, according to Max. I do see that. Things that make less sense is, so he thinks Kaylin is voting for Alli with the guys. He thinks Logan is voting for Miles, but we do see them as a 4. So I don't know what would happen. There are obviously complex relationships here, but I don't know why he would assume it to go back to gender lines, right? And as you said, he's saying he decided on the way to the urn, but he's openly saying Miles at tribal council. That's a bit of a question mark for me in terms of how true this is, or how real it is in the moment.
Well, my brain is hurting trying to make sense of this, because if that is the case, that you actually, if he still thinks it's split down gender lines, why does he feel like Logan and Laura, the people who are talking to him the whole time, haven't explained to him that Zara and Karen have defected, which they clearly knew.
He doesn't know that they've defected.
Sorry?
He doesn't know that they've defected.
But the girls know.
No, they don't.
So you're telling me that that whole afternoon of all that scrambling, Zara and Karen were able to keep this idea going to the others that the Coven is still together?
I guess. I mean, what are they telling each other? Like, yeah, they have to. What are they saying?
Well, I got the impression that they weren't
talking
to. Well, I thought the idea that they weren't even talking to each other at all, because they were like, they haven't spoken to us. Something's happening. They're scrambling. We're all over here talking to AJ and that. Like, I thought it was just such a known division that they.
Yes.
It seems so telegraphed, from the perspective of the way, not from the edit, but from the way they spoke about the other Coven members.
That is true.
So if that's true, then shouldn't Laura and Logan have made it clear to Max that there's something fishy happening here because we haven't spoken to them? Or did they still believe that the Zara and Alli, I guess, was going to hold on for one more night and that they were doing the preemptive strike first?
I think they thought maybe that...
If that is true, if what Max is saying is true to his and other in his alliance's perception, that makes what Zara and Karen did all the more impressive because they were able to lie to them, to their former alliance members that they've been working together with for 10 days. They were able to make them swallow the idea that they were still with them.
Yes.
That's huge. Well, that's a huge slice of information.
He gives credit to Zara, and I would agree. I mean, I give credit to the whole graduates because the guys are doing that too, to be fair. And I know I gave a lot of credit to Kaylin as a swing, and unfortunately Zara didn't get Chizzy points, but I mean, even like the Kaylin AJ side and like Max won't let a guy go. He'll let Miles go. Sorry. He wants Miles to go and he has his own numbers, but he won't let AJ go. So like the AJs and the Kaylins are still working to what Max thinks it is, whether it's Kaylin with him in any alliance, whether it is the bomb squad, like they're all doing that with these old groups. Now to us in the fairly simple Australian Survivor edit, and it does seem like these people detest each other. So I think that might impact it. We can see the divide with a swing. But if you think about it, there's no real way for the students, unless they're going to pick up on it. And is Max picking up on it? Anyway.
No, but I don't expect Max to pick up on it. I expect the girls to have recognized what had happened.
But he didn't talk about his plans with them. Like the girls think they have a plan of whatever. Like he says not for Zara in the end, maybe just for Miles, that their 5 are going to go in strong against a 2, if anything, once you send 2 people from the other side away. They don't need to talk to him about it. Maybe it's just assumed. They have no way to know actively. Like the graduates have Kaylin. Kaylin is being brought to with a plan where the other side have told him that they've defected. So he can bring that back to his real alliance. They probably know the lay of the land. They have the information advantage. They're going to win the day. But the other side don't really know. But also, maybe for the Lauras and Logans, to be fair, it doesn't matter. Like we have the numbers. We've like counted for this, and we're going to win so decisively because we also have an advantage. It's going to make our 5-4. Even better. And if someone's not with us, it'll be a 4-3. So it doesn't feel panicky. It's just like, don't mess with those numbers. So like, it is true that he wouldn't know about the graduates. But then let's bring it to what he's saying he does, right? He wants to be the swing. Let's get to that actually, just on its premise. Being the swing vote is a bad place to be. It's so egotistical to be like, I'm going to be the swing. If you happen to be put in a swing position because people like you all around like a Kaylin, good for you. And even then, it's kind of unenviable because people get mad. Engineering it for your own ego is like beyond to begin with. And that's what he's saying. If that's true, it's like, it's worse, actually. Like, I can see how he might think it's better because it's like, I didn't really mind who went home. Alli, Miles, I like put myself in a situation where it was like, either way. But like, actually, being in that situation is so bad because you're telling me, and if we want to believe it, you're telling me that at every single step of the way, you don't know which side you're going with. Your relationships are so tenuous that you don't even care which half of the tribe you're about to piss off. You are so alone as a single swing by design that you can share nothing with a group. I talk about like get an advantage to build allies, right? Instead of doing that, you do the opposite. Where you're just like, I'm going to use this to fully put myself out there alone and not build it all. Like, I kind of thought like, and my brother said this actually, like, it was interesting that he came out and read it to the whole tribe. He'd never read it before. Now that we know what advantage it is, like, okay, it has to be used tonight. Like, it's going to be before the vote. But like, it could have been an idol. He reads it seemingly to us before he reads it himself. I would have thought, my brother said as well, share it with a group. Read it yourself. Share it with your alliance. Share the plan with your alliance. You can't do that when you don't have a plan, as he's saying, till you get to the urn. So that's crazy. And then now we're thinking he voted for Miles in the end. Apparently, in the spur of the moment, let's take him at his word. And what he did was he voted out. He took out of the tribe Laura, who was a sure Miles vote from every angle, and Karen, who actually he thinks is a Miles vote. 2 people who he thinks will vote for the person he ends up voting for the sheer egotism, if that's a word. Egoism? Egotism. Whatever. Okay, egotism of being the swing. He takes out 2 votes for the person who he's about to vote for, and then loses by 1 vote. That is worse than what? That's worse than anything we could have imagined when we tried to think about it
that's pretty
yesterday.
bad. Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, I'm done. Felt good though. Felt good to say.
That's pretty bad. Look,
Yeah.
I don't want to beat up. I don't want to beat up on him. Like
It was
I don't
great
understand.
TV. Max,
It was
I
great
honestly
TV.
thank you for your service. I've been laughing for a day and a half.
Yeah. I don't know why. I feel bad for him. Like I feel like I think he cooked that so bad.
Yes.
But damn. I feel sorry for him. I feel sorry for him.
You
But
feel
yeah,
sorry for him?
I do, because like wow, like he would have thought he was riding so high, and like it's funny.
That's
but
hilarious.
a part of me is like, oh my god, like how did
It's
you do
so
that
funny,
so badly?
Nick. If he wants to go out there and try to make this big move, and then like he's trying, and then it goes badly, like I actually know
I
very
want to
little
try and
about
credit
Max.
him for something. Like I want to credit him for like
I want to hear it.
announcing to the tribe his fake plan of who he was taking home. Like he knew enough to kind of like set up a trap. He didn't have the next step. And then the next
No.
step seemed to oscillate too back and forth. Like at that point, he had all the power. He could have barreled through and said, "This is exactly what's happening, and it has to happen." And he could have got basically anything to happen.
Yes. I think, look, I know
He got
very
so
little.
caught up in the Miles thing. This is like the Stephen Fishback, Joey Amazing, blinders on. I'm going to do this. This is the Phoebe Moana thing. It's just like I can't see anything else except this one thing to my detriment. Yes, it is the
No,
Miles
it's
thing.
not. He took out 2 votes he thought with voting for Miles, 2 women.
No, because he was so hell-bent on being the one to get the revenge on Miles. Think about
makes
how
no
often they
sense.
was. I know it makes no sense, but it's because he was so completely spun around by this whole Miles thing. Like it was the only thing he could think about. And he tried to engineer all of this so that he could be the one who did it, who took him out, who said it. He set up maybe we're giving him too much credit, but like it seemed like he was so hell-bent on that when like he could have put himself and his group, or the group that him and Rich wanted, into a much better position.
Yeah.
I want to give him credit though for the at least setting a fake.
I can give credit. I mean, look, okay, firstly, trying to be the one single Miles vote, so sending out 2 Miles vote and then losing the Miles vote by 1 vote is objectively so funny. Like it's so funny. And this is a credit that I'm going to give to Max. I don't know a lot about Max. I know a lot about him more than I know a lot about the Brawns. But I will say, like yesterday on the podcast, I said, I was happy that Miles had won, and I still am. But like over things that I think a lot of people felt were uncomfortable in terms of the way he was being called a rat over and over, which we'll talk about, like possibly like some of the connotations of that, just how extreme it felt, and how like the blanket way that Miles has been like treated through these last 2 weeks. And Miles came out on Twitter and like defiantly was like, the rat stuff was all in good fun. Like Max is a good guy. And I think that's important to say, because I just want to like take that.
He asked permission. Yeah.
Like if anything, Miles was like, this is my like, Dirty Harry the cockroach nickname. Actually thinking about it now, a lot of the nicknames on Survivor might be derogatory. We just don't think about it. And he's like, I don't want to like speak over Miles, even though I understand why people were upset about it. And I think broadly it does seem upsetting, but I don't want to speak over Miles when he's saying in his particular situation, this was in good fun. So what the credit I will give to Max is that seems like he's got a good sense of humor. Like if he can't see the humor in this, I don't think I understand Max. Like Max should be able to laugh at himself by the fact that this is so funny. It's so funny. And like maybe he should just have a laugh at the fact that it's comedy gold. It's so good. And that's the credit I'll give to Max. Surely.
Yeah,
I think if anyone's skin is thick enough to be like, haha, what an idiot. Surely Max. Surely, right?
Surely.
Is that credit, or was that just me being mean again? Because I ranted at him for like 10 minutes.
Maybe a bit of both.
Really? Am I being too mean?
No, I just feel like you're like not filtering your opinions, and like good on you. It's your podcast. Go for it.
Oh, that's good. Because I never get in trouble for my opinion. So I just felt like I can say whatever I want. I think this cast is so entertaining. Like again, I actually do thank Max for that. What an incredible moment.
Of course, yeah.
It's so good. And he's still in the game. I thought maybe he'd get voted out, to be honest. Did you have a moment of that?
I did. I was like, this is, I thought
I
this
thought
was
Logan might just be like, everyone just vote for Max. Like he is aligned with none of us, which happens when you try to be a single swing, as he's saying.
But it just seems crazy if he's talking to Laura and Logan all afternoon, and they're probably telling you that like we've defected away from Karen and Zara. Don't you think you would get rid of those two? Like,
Karen and Zara instead of Laura.
like that's the bit that like is like, why Laura?
I agree. There's no utility to getting rid of Laura. Because even if you want this and you want to be a swing, then shouldn't Laura fulfill the exact same function as you think Zara is? Voting for Miles
And she's someone who you like and have hung out with and actually like is connected to your
and can
number one
trust and can
player.
read. Yeah. So like
Yeah.
if
And
it's
you
women
still keep
versus men and
Alli
you're the
there as the
swing
kind of you keep Alli there as the decoy
as the
that maybe we're
target,
going for Alli. Yeah.
well, the top
And
possible. Yeah. I
yeah,
can't
crazy.
understand. Even in this plan he's describing where he wants to be the swing, as many things, insults as I can throw at it, where it's men versus women and like he thinks he can read it. And the boys are voting that way in this like double play where they're like the bomb squad and the graduates would both vote for Alli because everything's coming at Alli. Why Laura at that point over Zara? It doesn't.
I think we've said it. I think we can. Yeah.
I'll spend my life trying to understand, but he explained it. I still don't understand. Should we look at some things?
Yes, please.
Here is the confessional chart.
Ooh,
And this is a good time to talk about Braun, who's on the season, by the way. Really interesting stuff happening here. Firstly, Nash left on 24 confessionals. For the people not watching the video, the next highest is Noonan on 18. He left in episode 4. That's crazy.
Like,
Like,
and he's got and one of those episodes he had 0. So 2 massive Nash episodes for him.
Yes, it was a lot of Nash. So I think we will remember Nash, who I had an X interview with, by the way. Guess who he said were the king and queen of the tribe?
Ooh,
You won't get it in 100 goes.
I bet you he's because you said that. I bet you said like Kristen and PD.
It was Kristen and Ben, but and he said more like the mom and dad. But that's what he said. He felt like the hierarchy was, and I was like Ben, because looking at Ben has had 0 confessionals to this point.
Do you reckon that Ben looks like Lee sometimes? Like I think that's
just for PTSD from 2016.
No, I like Lee. I don't PTSD. No, I just like sometimes I'm just like, oh my, I thought that was Lee. Yeah.
No, I feel like I see like Ben Drieberg in him in just like any. Listen to me.
No, definitely that. Yeah.
Any like big strong guy. Which of the Brawns can win in your mind, edit wise?
Well, Paulie and Noonan are the obvious ones, and I think everyone else is like dead in the water for content.
Is it upsetting that we're on episode 7, not even, and it feels like 2 Brawns can win from an edit perspective?
Well, to me, what that means is that the Brain tribe is going to be around for a long time, and that the Brawns are about to just have an absolute bloodbath.
But the Brawns are coming in way more cohesive.
Yes, but I think that the merge is going to be made mostly. I think what can explain how little we've seen of more. Like I feel like Morgan's going to go pre-merge. I feel like PD's gone before pre-merge.
PD has 3 confessionals. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, a couple of things on this. Firstly, it is tough because the Brains have been through so much. You know, like Indy called out the girls in episode 2. And the guys made this like counter thing. And then both of those groups have imploded. They've been through 2 separate wars, which was not by design. It's just so unfortunate. And they're going up against like a pretty cohesive, just unanimous split Brawn's tribe, who did have a chaotic first vote, but have since seemed to like really like Brawn yard. So,
but isn't that like they're not forged in fire? They're just going to get like, they're not ready for what's about to happen. If you look at what Kate and Morgan did in that first episode, like I know you know because you spoke about it at length, but it seems like perhaps the graduates and even to like think about like how much strategizing like even Laura on her own has done, and how much maneuvering and like jumping between and balancing various alliances. Like Morgan hasn't done that. PD hasn't done that.
I'm not putting my money on the Kates and Morgans of the world. I just feel like they come in just so cushioned compared to the Brains tribe.
Yeah.
With like not only like not in numbers of because Zen got Medivac, so they have 9, and then the Brains have 9. Yeah, they come in even on numbers, which is crazy.
Well,
But
what is
because they
Rich
had none of
considered?
them. No, he's a brain. He's been there for one day and they all hate him. Well, I guess the brains tribe don't love him either. But no, he's definitely a brain. But I'm just saying that like it's not about that. It's just about like in terms of like cohesive groups, like the brains are ready to kill each other. Like they're not going to work with each other.
Yeah.
And the bronze tribe, I think, all can. The bronze tribe.
I feel like in terms of are we talking winner picks here? So
Yeah, sure.
my winner pick was Miles, and I feel very good about that pick.
Yeah, that's a good winner pick now.
I feel really good about Miles.
Miles is on 11 confessionals. He has had confessionals in every episode but one, which is great.
I feel
Very
I,
consistent.
f- I feel like at first I was like, I don't know, like I actually thought they weren't giving Miles much content for how much he was the kind of the backup, but I feel like this week it's definitely like trending in the right direction, and I'm feeling very good about that. I think that Miles has got winner upside. Noonan, I could see a Karen win for sure. I'd be super happy with a Karen win. I could see like Kalen like being pivotal to this story because like I think you guys mentioned it that he was introduced when he probably wasn't even that pivotal. Like I think they want us to kind of know. Does Kalen give you Matt? Was it Matt, the lifeguard vibes from Heroes Villains?
No, not really.
Okay,
I think
like
Matt
someone
was
who
more
has
like
the
an everyman, and Kalen's more like a Jason Momoa type.
sure, but what I
Who
mean
does
is
he
that
play?
like
Aquaman. Yes.
someone who is like seems soft spoken, got a really trusting face, seems like an absolute legend of a person, fairly quiet, but like has the capability to do like the crazy thing, like what Matt did when he kind of like flipped everything and swung. Like I feel like Kalen's got like
Yeah.
all those trusting. He's got such a beautiful trusting face, and then we have, but underneath, I think he has the ability to do some like
Well, we've
damage if need
seen.
be.
Yeah. I thought I
Yeah,
mean, again, like I credit all of the graduates for how much of a smokescreen there was. And I think,
yeah,
as much as we should still credit Zara, who ends up being the vote that Max didn't see coming, but like all of them are playing their roles
yeah,
in a way that was incredibly important to that blind side for all of the graduates. So I think as well, what fascinated me about these confessional charts, and I want to thank
yeah.
Carl Durrett, who is giving me the confessional charts every week.
Good
Thank
job,
you.
Carl.
Kalen has 3 confessionals.
Mm.
Shocking. For the people not watching the video, that is as much as PD. That is fewer than Zara, who only had it coming out episode 2 episodes ago. That's fewer than Ursula. It's fewer than Morgan. It's fewer than Jesse.
Yeah.
It's like less than half of Jesse. And
Jesse getting 5 in the first episode. I don't even remember.
yeah, maybe Jesse's the other Braun who can win. Maybe just because he was my winner pick, but they did introduce him. He
I don't
got
see it.
confessionals with like the Nash proxy. But the interesting thing about Kalen is even though he's only had 3 confessionals, I still think he can win. And I'm calling this the Liz principle. Liz also didn't have a lot of confessionals when you looked at the confessional chart. I remember
But
quizzing
she was
Robert
on the
and he was
beach.
shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You got to know her as much as you needed to. She was
Yeah.
introduced, and then we saw her, and we knew where she was at, and she was important. And we know that the confessional charts matter less in Australian Survivor, where people get other types
For
of
sure.
content. And I think Kalen is the embodiment of that. If I had told you before today that Kalen has 3 confessionals, or that if Kalen has as many confessionals as PD, you would never
Yeah.
believe me.
Yeah.
So
For
yeah,
sure.
I think
For
Kalen
sure.
falls into that camp.
Definitely.
Another really interesting thing as well is that not one person that I can see, again, even Nash, so no one who made it to episode 4 has an episode where they have like every single episode they have a confessional. Everyone's got a 0 at least. For some of them, many zeros, which I think is an interesting edit. Like even Noonan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting.
Yes.
I like that. That's
Well,
great.
I mean, let's not put the best.
No. I like the
Yeah.
factoid. Yeah, the factoid. Yeah.
I just see numbers. What were you going to say?
I was just going to circle back to Miles. I don't feel like we've given him his due. Like, I think Miles has done an
That might
absolutely
be a good segue to this. But
Oh,
yes,
perfect.
keep going. Yes.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. So Chizzy
Yeah.
charts here.
Yeah.
I feel like Miles has done such a good job of changing perception. I've spoken a lot on the podcast over the years about how hard it can be to shake that perception of yourself. He's done an excellent job of that. I just think he's a genuinely nice guy. Like, I love that when he pitched the idea, the name of the graduates, It's like, obviously, they're all graduates with graduates' degrees. We saw Zara with all her degrees. Kalen is out in Antarctica flying drones, finding weeds or whatever it is that he's
We
doing.
don't know
It
what he
sounds
does.
so,
It's way
amazing.
above
Like,
grade.
I
Yeah.
want to know. I want to speak to him about that. Like, so they like clearly all that, but instead he couches it as in, we're graduates because we're above the high school drama. It's just like, Miles, you're a good guy. You're smart. You understand perception and you understand how to kind of make sure that you can change it or not appear one way. When Max is sitting there saying this thing, I'm going to get the jungle rat, when he's reading the thing in front of everyone, Miles is just like, hello. Like he doesn't fly off the handle at him. He doesn't kind of go for the drive-by shooting. He doesn't say snarky comments. He's just a good dude. Like I look at Miles and I just think, you are the type of person that I would want to align with. And I love when I hear players out there say, I just want to align with logical, smart people so we can bounce ideas off each other. And I'm so glad that he has found that in Karen and Zara and AJ. Like, I really, really like that. So I just want to make sure that Miles is getting his due, because I feel like he's going to skyrocket to being one of the most pivotal people in this season, because he seems so uniquely placed. And like at the merge, at the swap, when all this things start going crazy, I feel like he's going to find his way through. So I love seeing him on 9.
He's getting his due.
9.
Look at that.
Yeah.
9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like if you look at the people who have lots of cheesy points, we seem to be getting their story like highly active. Like, I know that someone kind of quibbled with like Laura getting points, but like she seems like
I quibbled.
I feel like it was Rob. I think it was Rob when you had mentioned to Rob.
Oh, but I also did it this week because Puya gave her a point, which put her at the top 110.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. No, but I liked Puya's reasoning. Like, I feel like she is active. Like, she's a super active player. Like, she seems to be. Like, I like even the way that, like, I think it was the first episode, she, like, at the well says to Miles, like, how much do you know about Survivor? And he says, plenty. And, like, I just like the idea that, like, I don't know. I like Laura. I like the way she talks about the game. And she's an interesting character because she's flawed, like every Survivor player is in some way. So, very, very happy with this. Logan is a revelation. People are saying that she's like Shani from Wish.
Yes.
But I think that any Shani is a good amount of Shani. So,
Shani from Wish. I haven't heard that. I just heard she was like a Shani type, like in a good way. I didn't realize people saying
she's like people are saying like she's like the Timu Shani.
No,
but like,
I didn't hear that.
I think she's great.
I mean, to be honest, being a Timu Shani actually would be great. That's like being like, I'm Timu Taylor Swift. Like, I will take it. Yes, I'm like,
that's what I'm saying.
That's a great place to be.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not saying you're like a Timu. I don't know. I'm not going to throw another player under the bus, but yeah.
What would that person look like? She's just yelling. I'm already the Timu Taylor Swift. I'm hoping, right? So Timu me. No.
And it's also interesting when you look at that like of all the people who've been like only Alli is the only one who's got points who's been voted out.
No, and Zane got medevac. Yeah, Alli getting points before we knew what was to come. In hindsight, now knowing Alli's kind of like awareness, now it puts that whole episode as well into a new perspective. Like when she thought that he was going to say Rich when he was going to say Logan. Like at the time, we didn't see that as a red flag, but now I feel like it's a precursor to like general awareness.
I thought that was bad
in that episode.
I thought that was bad at the time. I was like, you are going around and spreading something. You didn't even clarify.
It's true. In hindsight. Yeah.
No, at the time I was like, what are you doing? Like, it's such a great series of events, little dominoes falling.
Yeah, this kind of looks okay. Well, I haven't even read the charts. For the people who are listening to audio, I forget. Laura's winning on 10. Miles, it's my fault. Miles is on 9. And then we've got 4 people on 8. Paulie, Logan, Karen, and Kaylin. Noonan on 6 and AJ on 6. They're the 2 who I think could have more. I feel like Noonan ends up, like Paulie has ended up getting more points than her at different times. AJ could have more because he had a great week as well. Alli had 3. Petey on 2. Then left on 2. And then Matt's on 1 and Rich on 1. So those are the charts. It's a very interesting chart.
It is good. It's good. I'm glad Rich has one as well because, like,
that was me.
I feel like again he's an active player. He's trying to get the bomb squad going. Like I like that everyone seems to be like actively making choices. So
Zara's a loss, unfortunately.
Zara is a loss, actually, especially based on what I was saying before. If that is true about them keeping the what's it called? them keeping the other women in the Coven thinking that the Coven was still
Yes.
going. So try and rectify that for Zara in the next season.
Well, that's not really how the chili works.
Next week. I know you hate that, but like,
I do.
hey, if I was here, I'd be giving Zara some points.
I would never rig the chili, Nick.
I know
That's not
you
something
wouldn't.
I would do.
I know you wouldn't, but you should.
Did no one tell you what I did?
No.
I rigged the chili.
When?
Oh, so no one told you? I think everyone was waiting. So I could just, get mad at you for a chili point with you not knowing that I fully rigged the chili.
Do I get to give a chili point?
No, I'm just saying I rigged the chili last season in 47. I wanted there to be
so that
3
they all
tie.
got. Yeah. No, sorry, I knew about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a brain who doesn't have, other than Zara, chili points that's still in the game? Because it was 9, but 10, and so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, just Zara. That doesn't feel right. I'm sorry.
How the chizzy is very susceptible to the edit, which obviously that's all we've got to go on. But
yeah. And then much like the confessional charts, the brawns are Paulie at 8, Noonan at 6, Zen had 2 actually, and Petey on 2.
Yeah.
As well. It was I was thinking back on how there was an episode about Braun this week sometimes, and I was like, so much of that to me was like, can they trust like Nash's numbers? Can they like trust this quasi split vote? And it's like Petey voted for him even last time. Like Nash said in my ex interview with him today, which like everyone check out, that he like knew he was dead in the water from like day 3. It was like, that's why I think like that was so like that's all they've had since like episode 1. Compared to the fact that brains have lived like 5 different lives. Anyway, those are the charts, or the various charts. Thank you to Randy Newport for the chili charts, as always, every week. A couple of questions, Nick?
Yes, please. I love questions. Let's go for it.
This was a big thing on social media. I could tell even I'm trying to be on social media less, and I was getting this a lot.
Well, was this me being trolled by the Big Brother stands for what I said about Danielle? I called her corny, and people like literally coming for me so bad. It was so funny because
I caught that as well.
I wish I could find a single fuck to give, because I do not give one. But it was really funny to see how like people were so worked up. I called it corny. Mike Bloom pointed out to me that it was probably because I called it that house show that you all watch or whatever it is, as opposed to Big Brother. But God, don't say anything about Danielle being corny, guys. You'll get flooded with DMs and things. Anywho,
I feel like it's much like Max. Like we should have sense of humor about that thing, right? Like they should be able to, right? No.
Well, I said nothing about her gameplay. I just said she's corny, like because she is corny. Like she like the shaking and falling down. Like, come on, Danielle. Like you are corny. Like just that's okay. Like Big Brother's a corny show. Australian Survivor's a corny show. Like
I've been so harsh in this podcast, and you're going to still get more hate than me. The crazy thing is that
can't get worse.
I'm like watching Traders from a distance, but like then I see the discourse, especially this week, and I'm like, but I don't want to delve any more into it than I am for the reasons stated. So
true.
Yeah, no, that's not the question. That was very different to what I was going to say, which was that Sean Bryan asked, could the Brains tribe have used a barbecue for cooking the sausages to light something on fire to work around the lack of flint? A lot of people asked this, and I assume the answer is no. Someone would have thought to do that, and production definitely were like, no, you cannot have your sausages and eat them too, right? Like that would be way too easy.
Yes. One thing that is never conveyed is just how much they watch you at those rewards, that you can't take things that you leftover food, or like the little salt and pepper shakers, or the napkins, or the leftover spices. I remember, so it was the day that I was voted out in All Stars, we had won the BLTs, and there was this huge BLT station, and someone had kept the spices. I think maybe it was Dave or Sean or someone had stolen all the spices in a little coconut thing and put it under the shelter. And we were all making rice, and then we would all give each other the wink and slowly go over there and put the spices on our rice, and not very surreptitiously. And as soon as they found out, they grabbed it and they took it. They don't let you take things. So I'm sure that if someone was like, oops, I've set the forest on fire. Oops, that's fallen into our dead rock, fire pit. I'm sure someone would have tipped a water bottle on that straight away.
Which would have been sad to watch. But yeah, I mean, I think when they give them a choice, they're not like, but if you get around us, good luck to you. No. Important question for you. Keegan asks, with the tribe stop coming, I'd imagine Max is going to start spraying Miles as a rat. What do you think is the best way to combat this, whether on the same or a different tribe? But you were the snake. Now, the good thing is, like, as nature intended, the snake will eat the rat. So at least you have that. But how do you, like, being the shifty character as you've been? Is there a way to get around that perception? Or maybe you come back and play in a few years is the better way to do that.
Yes, exactly. Come back and rebrand yourself as a completely different thing, and everyone trusts you, and it's completely fine. It really is the perception of the people you're playing
and have
with.
a kid in between.
Yeah, exactly. Be goofy dad, Nick.
Yeah.
No, I feel like the people I played with in All Stars that never came up because it was the type of players. Like, there were people that were like, didn't care about that stuff. Season 1 was a completely different kettle of fish. So I think that Miles just needs to understand the people that he's with and kind of like cater to that. That's really all I can say. And I think that Miles will be able to do it absolutely fine because he's done it on the tribe that he's currently with. He's been able to overcome that. So I have all faith in Miles. This is not season 1. This is season 10. And I think of how much the show has changed even from season 5, with the George effect and all that. Like, these people don't care about that. Go your hardest.
The Brawns might.
I don't see it. Like, I don't see it. Like, the game is going to move too quickly. Like, once the wrecking ball of the Brains craziness comes into the, like, there's going to be other things to worry about than just this, perception from Max, who's a crazy person anyway. It would be like Nash saying, like, oh, Ursula's really crazy. It's like, are we going to take it from Nash? So you're crazy.
Yeah.
They'll get to know Max within 10 seconds and go, this guy's extra, and it's okay to just ignore what he's saying.
All right. Well, Jay Field asked, this is good because he wants to know, I guess I'm assuming gender. They want to know the student and parent reaction to a move like this from a teacher. I don't know that you've ever done anything like this, Nick, but is it hard to be a teacher and do something like this, knowing your kids are like, well, he has primary school kids. So I think that might be better because it'd be so unfortunate to have like a 6-year-old come in and be like, you're so stupid, Mr. Max. Like that was like, you had high school students who knew what was going on, but maybe the parents are like, I want my kids to be moved out of Max's class.
No, I never. So that was one of the things I was extremely worried about, and it never came up. Everyone was so supportive, staff, students, parents. I had emails from parents saying, we love sitting around watching you on TV. It's all like, even when it was like Nick the Snake, the villain, all that kind of stuff. And to be honest, like, students just like the funniness of their teacher being on TV, running around in their underwear, saying silly things, jumping up and down, getting excited. Even the older 18-year-olds that I teach. So I think that, like, are any of those kids going to get into the ins and outs of numbers and he should have sent home Zara and not like,
I think so.
No, they're not.
Max,
let me tell you.
If there was 4 of you and 5 of them, had you just taken away 2? And that's how we learn addition and subtraction in class.
It'll probably come up in that. I think that I feel like he's the kind of kid that, like, a teacher that, like, 1-year-old students, year 1 students will absolutely love him anyway. So they'll just love the images of him banging sticks, wearing a funny buff, and prancing around in his budgie smugglers. So he'll be fine.
He said he said he's like K1 and 2. So, like, kids that age are watching the challenges and they've, like, fallen asleep before the vote. So if anything, they came to school the next day like, what happened, Mr. Max? Did it go well? And he's like, it did.
Yep.
And don't watch the previously on. Don't do that because it went great. Everything went according to plan. So he does.
It's very fun as a teacher, I got to say. It's very fun because you get instant feedback. Forget Twitter. You walk into the room and the kids will be like that, but it's never the stuff you think. It's never. Do you know the thing that they thought was so funny in All Stars and in season 1? It was not me crying, like me jumping up and down when Shani found her idol. They thought it was so funny how excited I got at someone else winning something. They're like, but you didn't get it, sir. And I was like, but I was excited. I was so, like, yeah. Anyway, they used to play that. They used to play that GIF on repeat.
Really, not the GIF of you eating the cake off the floor? That would.
The cake. I forgot about that. Yeah. Me eating the cake off the floor was another one. Yeah.
I think Max
my intro was that for some reason, and that they always got a kick out of that. Yeah.
I think that Max is teaching the perfect age group to maybe not understand why this was bad. Maybe. That's the level that we're currently at. Max, I love you. Thank you for what you've done. I loved it so much. Chris asks, who's playing the best game? All in all.
I'm going to say Karen.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good pick.
I would love to say Miles, but there was just that initial misstep, which he's readjusting to, which is, to be honest, it requires more skill than not having a misstep at all. But I just really think that Karen found herself in a great alliance, knew when to pivot, knew when to kind of like keep her face not cracked when Alli said that crazy thing about the alliance. She's got a ride or die in Zara. She's got people coming to her that want to work with her. She's great in the challenges. She knew to say the thing on the wrestle with Ursula. I just love Karen.
Yeah, I
Who do you
think.
think? Who do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. Like Zara has no cheesy points, but it's like kind of been in lockstep with Karen. So I think the two of them, like AJ, like Miles had a misstep that he's rectified really well. He has an idol now, and I think honestly, Kaylin could be in there. Like Kaylin's perception is so intentional, and it's already working, and so many people want to work with him, and he's making good decisions. Like, where is the notes?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, I mean, obviously Paulie and Noonan are great. Other than the fact that they've
Yeah.
been in two votes and one they technically lost, but like they're not.
I would
We
say
haven't seen enough.
Paulie.
Yeah,
I would
Paulie's
say
the one.
Paulie
Yeah,
is doing fantastic. It's clear the other tribe like him. He knows when to be funny.
yeah, like the banter with Miles as well.
Fused with humor. Yeah.
Yeah,
Noonan, I think, like, I love Noonan as well, but like, and I want to watch her I hope she's here all the way to the end. But I do think that she was like, it was a little too on her face how much she disliked Nash. So I guess if we're giving notes,
I can't. I'm not throwing stones at that glass house.
no, but I guess if we're giving little notes to separate all the people that we love at the top, my note would be it can't be that obvious. It can't be that obvious when you dislike someone. And maybe it's fine at the beginning because you know that Nash is never going to be long for the game. But as you get into the merge, maybe you got to rein that in. And I have faith that she'll be able to because I think that her reads are great.
Yeah, I mean, it's just hard to give it to Braun because they've just had to do so much less to their credit, you know. But it's like the brains have just lived so many different lives. While Braun have been mostly chilling just with like the Nash issue. Okay. Boomer asks, do you think it's easier for a great strategic player to navigate themselves deep in the game surrounded by other great strategic players, or easier to make a deep run with the majority of poor strategic players, such as this cast? You said it, Boomer, not me, okay? I'm not harsh.
I think that based on my experience, someone like Dave did this with his alliance because he was clearly the one with the able to shepherd all the terrible people together. That like I think that it's easier when you have other people to bounce off of, because I know that firsthand that when I had people to bounce off of, we were able to make interesting, cool, fun decisions. And then at the tribe swap, when those people disappeared, I had no one to bounce off of, and it was really, really difficult. But Dave was able to do what I couldn't do, which was be the one person who was able to shepherd those people straight to victory. So I know what I would prefer to play with. I would prefer to be with other people like the graduates, people who are thinking about the game, people who are logical. I personally think that is easier because you can almost predict what those people are going to do.
Yeah.
And there are so many more options. Like there are so many times where I was just like, but I can't go to Tarzan, and I can't go to Jackie, and I can't go to Moana, and I can't go to Sean, and I can't go to Lee, and I can't go to Zach. And it's just like, who can I go to? Dave, the person who wants my head on a fucking platter. So like having people who are basically just like stone walls for like strong, logical, interesting, strategic, risky decisions, it's really hard because you know that so many of them are non-starters. So I love that even this game, we can, all the people saying, oh, it's the worst cast ever, they're so dumb. I don't agree. They are at least making risky, interesting decisions that are against their better judgment, against their own interest, but they're still willing to do them. And that is what makes the game, I think, more dynamic and more fun.
Yeah, I think like playing with maybe like less knowledgeable players. Well, I don't even think these players are less knowledgeable. I'm trying to think of the right word. I think I'm trying to compare them to your All-Star cast, and I think it's hard because in many ways they're so opposite. Like the people you're describing from All-Stars were less agent, and that was why a shepherd could kind of pick them up. These people are all too agent, as we have, there's so many cooks in the kitchen that's been the issue. I think that on even apart from those casts, on like a worse player to better player, just like broad trajectory, like theoretically, I would think that for a good player, it's like high risk, high reward on the bad players because you don't know how they'll behave. But then there's also, it's like if you are the one to capitalize, like you have it. Whereas like it's more like kind of a neutral thing if you're all with good players, and then you just have to like kind of, grind it out from there. But I don't know that this is the same in this cast, because I feel like this cast, this is more like chaotic. Like that's the word that I would use. And I think that it's hard for anyone to wrangle that. Like I think this is a nightmare. Whereas I feel like with
it's
like less agent players who don't know as much, like there's a pathway for someone if you can, but if you can't, like you're shut out. But this chaos is, I think, so hard because it's not people you can wrangle, but it's not even really people you can understand. Like, where are you,
Yeah, I think they exist on a different axes because of the chaos. So they're not on the like agent versus, strategic versus followers axis. They're like on a separate axis of like chaos, which is probably more fun to play with. And there's more chance that you can hit and get bounce, bing, 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 bang, bang, bang. Because the other one, it's like, it seems like it's so like a fait accompli if you're not the shepherd. Because surprisingly, the sheep don't want to switch shepherds because it's easier to kind of follow. So I love this cast. And I trust that there are enough people that now that we've gotten rid of the Kents and the Allis and the Nashes, that there are enough people that can actually steer the ship home in a like really good end game.
No,
I truly believe it.
No,
I do.
That brings us to our last question. Matt Benjamin asked, now that the terrible gameplay ghost is no longer inhabiting Alli, who will it haunt yet? I don't know if I wrote it down correctly. Who will it haunt now?
Great question.
It's going to go to someone.
Is it still in Max?
Yeah, it's
or has he like exercised itself because
No.
it's eaten the host, and the host has become like this like shriveled mess, and then it's like must find nourishment, and it jumps out of the body and goes into the next person.
Well, it's definitely in Max, but there are multiple ghosts like at one time. I think we've seen that.
Okay, well let's rank who is the top tier group of people who have the capability of being like the Nashes and the Allis and that.
This
I
is
reckon
so
we've got
harsh.
Rich
You
and
do
Max.
Yes.
Oh, now you're being too harsh.
I haven't been harsh at all, and I refuse to start now. You do it.
Oh my God. I guess what we're not being harsh, we're asking who has that.
Who will be inhabited by the bad gameplay ghost?
Well, yeah, because it's not them. It's just like this thing that comes over them.
The ghost of bad gameplay's past.
Well, I think Rich and Max are the people who are like the ones that have it in them. Yes?
Yeah, I would say maybe. You said it, not me. I'm on board with everything they're doing. I think it's been great. I gave a choosing point to Rich, okay?
I think Logan might be up there as well because
no, I don't think so. Wow, that's shocking that you say that. That's so harsh and mean.
Oh my God.
No, but I genuinely do disagree though.
Okay, so the reason why I think that is because like I could see her what's the word? Overextending the reach that she has. And believing that it's going one way and it's not going to. Like I think that was at the nexus of this Coven, and she had the VBs, and now she's got this other thing that she thinks with Max and that. I think that she might think that she can pull something off that she might not be able to pull off. No shade on Logan, but I just think
she has
that
the skills.
Do you think?
Yeah, I do. I think she's got really good social skills.
Do you think Noonan's going to like Logan? Do you think that PD? Do you think that PD's going to like Logan? Do you think Ursula's going to like Logan?
I mean, I don't. Ursula seems not to like a lot of people. I don't.
I don't know. I don't see where to next for Logan.
I think she seems fun. What'd she say? Cute and fun. I think she can charm them. Yeah, I do think so.
Okay, cool. Well, I hope
Kate and Morgan will like Logan.
Yes,
am I typecasting? Yeah, so
yes.
There are options. I trust her. I don't think the ghost is coming for Logan. I mean, the ghost could go anywhere, but we don't know enough about the Brawns. Yeah, it's weird. We might still be in there. We haven't seen them since.
Imagine if it took Imagine if the ghost overtook someone like Kristen, and it was just like Kristen,
Kristen.
and she just became this like chaos cast kind of like psychotic ball of energy. I would love that.
TBD.
TBD.
I do feel harsh. I think it's big. I know this is the apology segment of the podcast. Players. Firstly, I'm a stupid moron. I don't know what I'm talking about. The edit is so all over the place with Australian Survivor. It's like, maybe was everything you said and did a Frankenbite that I don't understand, possibly. Like, maybe. And also, I don't know what I'm talking about. And also, it's just because every single episode, I think, of this whole season, I'm trying to think if there's even been one miss of 6. I have to come on and be like, what were you thinking? And I think it's just seeping into me now, and I'm becoming like a little bit less inhibited. So I just want to, I'm sorry. But I'm having fun. I love it. And thank you. Thank you all for your service, because it's been like mainly the brains. It's been so fun. And I love it. Like, honestly, who knows where the season goes from here? But like that Max
Logan's going to do something bad.
Well, okay, I'm not judging Logan, okay? You heard that from Nick, but that's the one person that I wasn't harsh on today. We could look back at the end of the season, and like maybe that Max moment is like what is the defining moment. Like we did last year in the off season, and we did like, what's the defining moment of the season? Like the Max moment could be. It was that great. I really think it was that big. It had that much in it. It was like the culmination of all the stuff on the Brains Trap. Like that could, like, I hope there's more, but even that alone could be it. You know, that could be enough for us. And I mean, I want more. I'm just saying that's how good it was. I'm having a great time, and I'm very sorry. And you know what I think it is? This is my last thing. It's because like it's always so hard because they're like TV characters and they're like players in the game, and they're like also human beings. We try to have fun with that. We try to have empathy. I really struggle with it, etc., etc. But like these players are like such characters. They're such characters. And then I'm like, they're also human beings. But then they're also like Simpsons characters, right? So like, I think that makes it hard as well. Not justifying it. Very sorry. Loving it. Thank you for your service. That's the apology segment, Nick. Do you have anyone you want to apologize to? Maybe Logan?
No, but God, if Logan does do something, I expect I expect you to give me my juice.
Yes.
No apologies, but thank you to you for your great coverage. Thank you to the players. Thank you to the people who make this show. At first, there was this fear of like people being more interested in like Australia versus the world. That's kind of got. I feel like that's gone out the window. This is so taken everyone by storm.
Yeah, it has been fun. It has been really fun. I think it's unfortunate that it's like right before 48, which is airing like imminently, you know, and it's like there's so much good TV at the moment. I think that's what's hard is it's like it's up against like also like very Survivor adjacent shows like The White Lotus, Traitors, Dondi, even Severance. I feel like is Survivor adjacent. Is that just because a lot of people I know watch it?
Yes.
Maybe this is like a smart person show. Anyway, there's so much good TV, but I feel like for the people who are here, like we're here. We get it. It's been really fun. We're like very optimistic about where things are going to go.
Very good. I'm excited and I will be watching with bated breath. Thank you, Shannon, for having me on. As always, I really appreciate it.
It's your podcast. I'm still just borrowing it. It's been a long time.
And this was very zippy.
Yeah, thank you. You're
this like, it's like
you went out for a pack of cigarettes 7 years ago, and I've been watching the podcast ever since. And it's like, when are you coming home?
I come home every season, multiple times.
Once a season, once for vacation. You're like a vacation dad. Well, the podcast. I'm like, I'm raising this podcast alone. Okay.
That's a really funny way to put it.
It's fine. Me and the podcast have a great time together. Anyway, so much coverage, the daily recaps, which hopefully you've listened to because that's like the order that they were intended, and then this, and also the X and Do with Nash. And then next week we'll do it all again, Nick. Me and the podcast alone, while you do God knows what away from your podcast child.
With my real children.
Your real children, yeah. And that's the choice you made, and I hope you can live with yourself. With your real wife and your real family and your real kids, okay? So if you think that's okay. Anyway, this is how it stops being zippy when we get into the custody dispute about the podcast. It's over an hour and a half. I hear it, but I do it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to the players, and sorry. Thank you to all the listeners. Thank you to our team behind the scenes. I will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.